Good afternoon. This is podcast Happy at Work. My name is Tatiana Koval, and in our podcast, we discuss different topics which connected with topic of employee happiness. And today, we will discuss a very, very interesting topic. Unusual, I think, for people who work in well-being, because this is a topic about the situation when the science meets the traditions. This is the science meets the Ayurveda. And our guest today is Ankana Priyam. Ankana is a well-being coach, a well-being expert with previous huge experience in the big corporations like Apple and Mondelez. Hi, Ankana.
Hi, Tatiana. Thanks for having me.
Ankana, firstly, I could ask you to tell a little bit about you and about your professional experience.
Okay, so currently I'm a well-being mentor at Indium, but in my previous avatar, I was working in corporate. I have about 14 years of experience in different sales, marketing, and operations role in different companies, including Apple and Mondelez. I've had a fulfilling career, an enriching career, but now I have transitioned into becoming a well-being mentor.
Mhm. If you talk about Ayurveda, usually think of this is something about herbal remedies, or maybe we don't know anything about it. Think of it something ancient. But what should we know about Ayurveda from our personal perspective and also from the corporate perspective, if we maybe decided to use it as a part of a well-being for our employees?
So, you're right. I mean, the understanding about Ayurveda is mostly in terms of herbs like an ashwagandha pill or turmeric latte or even a fancy spa treatment. But Ayurveda really is a standalone comprehensive medical system on its own. It's about 5,000 years old and it comes from India. And Ayurveda can be incorporated in our personal lives for our personal well being, and it can also be used by employers when they are thinking about workplace well being. There are ways to incorporate it. So, for example, if I have to talk about employers first, they can use a couple of elements from Ayurveda, starting with biophilic design. Even though Ayurveda doesn't specifically talk about biophilic design, Ayurveda rests on this principle that we should live in balance with nature. And biophilic design is nature inspired spaces. So, for example, and many companies are already doing it, but for the companies that haven't been able to do it, what they can do is bring nature into their offices. So, for example, they can have a lot of indoor plants. They can have natural materials like wood, like cotton, clay, things made of bamboo. And most important thing is to get natural light. As per Ayurveda, we should rise with sun and we should set with it. And sun plays a lot of important role in terms of regulating our metabolism, regulating our digestion. So they can try to get a lot of sunlight in wherever possible. The second thing that employers can do is uh, workload management and lunchtime management. As per Ayurveda, lunch is the most important meal of the day because it happens around the time when sun is at its peak, and at that point of time, our body is in the best position to metabolize what we eat at that time. I understand that we have moved away from the industrial era where you had like a definite time, for example, half an hour break or a 45 minutes break for people to have lunch together. And modern offices, not all of them will have the capacity to accommodate all their employees at the same time at the same place. There could be logistical nightmare. So what employers can do is have like a window, lunchtime window from say 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., and there should be a cultural shift where people and leaders take this conscious step that we will not have meetings in these 1.5 hours. That still gives you 80% of the time to have your meetings for the rest of the day. So having some kind of routine or discipline around lunchtime is what companies can kind of enforce in the long run. And the third thing would be using Ayurveda, and not just Ayurveda. There's this whole spectrum where you have Western medicine on one side and you have traditional medicine on other side. Like you have Ayurveda from India, but there is naturopathy, there is homeopathy, there is Unani coming from Greece and Middle East. And in the center sits your integrative medicine, which uses best of both the world. So use this entire spectrum as a part of preventive tool in the well-being health kit that you will have in your well-being benefits. So these are some tips that employers can use. Coming to employees, what they can do, in office is again making lunch your main meal of the day, and we can wait for the companies to bring in those cultural changes. But if that is taking time, maybe just block half an hour on your calendar for your lunchtime. And I have seen people doing it, and it brings in discipline around the lunchtime. Also, making lunch your heaviest meal. People tend to have heavy dinners, and I understand why. I had been having heavy dinners for the longest time. It's because once we come back from office, once we are home, we want to take that control back in our hands. And whether we have had a good day or a bad day, food is something that gives us some kind of comfort. Plus that there is family time, over dinner you would want to know how the day was, etc. So all of that is fine. You should do that. You should have your moment at the dinner table. But that doesn't mean that dinner itself should be heavy. Try to have nutritious dinner, but it should be light. The third thing that they can do is, walk for about 10 minutes after each meal. So, supposedly, you are having 3 meals a day, that gives you 30 minutes of activity. And the helpful thing would be to count that as an exercise, because when you are counting that as an exercise, you're giving the signal to your mind that I am exercising. And, if you do this on a regular basis, you don't need to take out time or dress up to go to a different place like a gym. Just 30 minutes of activities, and it helps with insulin resistance in the long run, prevents your chances of getting diabetic. So these are some small changes that even employees can do at their end.
It's very, very interesting. But I'm absolutely sure what sometimes when you discuss, especially with corporation, about implementing Ayurveda in the day-by-day life, so you could meet a lot of misconception and biases. Could you share some misconception and biases and how you answer on it? What is the really the people should know about Ayurveda?
Yeah, that's right. And again, as I said, it's not just with Ayurveda, it's with all the alternative and, traditional medical system, is that people think that uh, it's a feel-good, unscientific modality that can just have a placebo effect, maybe at best. But that's not really true. And the best way to see whether it works or not is to have a direct experience with that traditional medicine itself. Ayurveda is about 5,000 years old, and something that has, been there for so long has stood the test of time. So it has to be a system that works. Some of the misconceptions that there is that again that it doesn't work, and it's a fair thing to have. I come from India, and when I started my journey with Ayurveda, when I had severe joint pain in 2020 and nothing else was working, my doctor said that you'll have to go on painkiller, and if the pain doesn't go away, maybe we'll have to put you on steroid treatment. And I was in my early 30s. I really got scared that I cannot be on painkiller for the rest of my life. And that is when I started exploring that is there something else that is not so invasive that I can start. And a lot of people recommended Ayurveda. As I said, since I'm from India, there was a familiarity, so there was more openness. I entered with skepticism. I was not like, I had no trust in it, but I was like, if nothing else is working, maybe I can try small parts and let's see if it works or not. And it did. And after that, I started getting curious about it. I started doing online course and see for myself, and I actually became an observer in my life. I would do experiments on myself that okay, this it says that if you do this, then this will happen, and then I would try and do that and see whether those results were there or not. In my case, it happened. And so when I moved to US, that's when, I pivoted my career from being a corporate professional to doing a certification of holistic Ayurveda coach and becoming this well-being mentor. And as I studied it, I realized that actually there is a lot of coherence between modern medicine and Ayurveda itself. So, for example, uh, Ayurveda talks about this digestive fire. It's literally the fire in your belly. That this fire regulates your metabolism, it regulates your moods and mental health. And in modern science, there's this concept of gut microbiome, which is also responsible for the same things: your metabolism, your digestion, your moods, your mental health. Then, if I have to talk about other things, there's this whole thing of circadian rhythm, and it got Nobel Prize in 2017. And Ayurveda for the past 5,000 years has been talking about living with the daily cycle of sun, following the sun. So there is coherence there. Then the third thing is, when you go to any Ayurvedic doctor, they would do an assessment of your mind body type. So there are about 10 mind body types, and each of us will fit into at least one of them. And so they don't look at you, for example, like, are you an endomorph or an ectomorph or a mesomorph, but they look at whole mind body constitution. And now even modern science is coming to the conclusion that there is this very strong interlink between your mind and your body, and that one affects the other and one supports the other. So I think as we go forward and with more researches happening, I think we'll see a lot more coherence between modern science and traditional science. And as I said, this is going to give a huge fillip to the integrative medicine that is actually on the rise, because people are fed up of being unhealthy, or spending a lot of money on health and well-being. It should not be so costly. People should be able to live a healthy life at bare minimum cost.
I think it's really, really great for all the employees when they could hear what you could save a lot of money, but making your employee healthier. My next question for you is about productivity. Usually when we talk about well-being, one of the effects which we expect is improving productivity of the employees, of the people who work in companies. If we talk about personal perspective, I think the same situation. We want to be healthier, they have better well-being for improving our productivity for business and life tasks. How Ayurveda could help us to improve our productivity? Could you share maybe some life hacks, some approaches from Ayurveda, or some ideas?
So, Ayurveda defines the day into separate energy periods. And if we flow with those energies, if we ride the tide, there are chances that we'll be more productive rather than going against the tide. So, waking up by 6 a.m., the morning time from say 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., it is a time where the body feels lethargic, the energy is little heavy. So, a good thing would be to wake up and exercise, because that is the time when the body is most I would say, is in the best position to take any kind of impact that exercise might have. So, and when you talk about productivity, once you have done exercise in the morning, you can put that, tick, and you can feel like you're already an achiever before you even get to office. So, getting to office on such high note itself is the start of a productive day. Then between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is literally the best time of the day to work and to eat a nice meal. And you can do your deep work in this time. You can do all your grunt work, all your data analysis, or your strategic meeting, decision making meetings, everything that you find very difficult, or something like a task that you have been avoiding for long. This is the best time in the day to get it done. So, if you know that this is the window in which I'm the most productive, use it accordingly. And then as you move from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., the energy of the day again changes, setting you up for more creative work. For example, if you have to have a multi-stakeholder meeting or a collaborative meeting, you can have it at that time. If you have to brainstorm, send out some communication emails, this is a good time to do. You'll find people generally in a better mood. So do those kind of creative meetings in the second half. And using small tips, for example, if you know that there is going to be a meeting where you're going to see a lot of fireworks, it'll help if you can shift that meeting from first half to second half and see the changes. I mean, it might not always be possible because it depends on the schedule of a lot of people, but try and understand the energy of the day and flow with it. For example, I'll give you a comparison. When we look at the energy level of ourselves, people, uh, there is childhood, there is adulthood, and then there's old age. So we know that we are at the peak of our energy in our adulthood, right? It rises from our kids' age, peaks in the adulthood, and then wanes again with the old age. Similarly, a day is structured like that. So in the morning, you are a little lethargic. Then between 10 a.m. to p.m., 2 p.m., you are extremely energetic. And then again, you have to slow down and calm down for a good night's sleep. So if you go with this flow, you'll be a lot more productive.
It's very, very interesting. Uh, how company implement this approach? What could you recommend for people working in office and working remotely for implementing your ideas about day cycle? You shared something, but maybe you could share some more ideas. And now, why I also ask you about remote work. Now it's very, very popular. Sometimes it's a little bit easier, or and then I thought more difficult for people to organize themselves and they work remotely. What could you recommend from Ayurveda perspective for employees and for employers?
Yeah, that's a great question because, remote work is the reality of today. And, different kind of people, they like different kinds of work style. For example, I love remote work. But my husband actually likes going to office. So we'll have to recognize the different kinds of personalities that people have. Also, different demands of your office, because there are times when meetings are more impactful, they are more collaborative when people are meeting in person. So we are also seeing a rise of hybrid work. But typically, what happens is that when you have office, people tend to be more disciplined because they know that they have to get ready. There is a commute time. Some people also drop off their kids to school. So there is more or less there's a routine. There's a discipline. But when you have to do remote work, there are times I have done it myself that I will get up late and I will actually get ready just 1 minute before the meeting. So you there are chances of going little haywire when it comes to remote work. Plus remote work, what happens is that if you are a people's person, there are extroverts and introverts. Extroverts, they derive their energies from being with people, meeting people, talking to people. And introverts, they want to be by themselves and charge their batteries. So if you are an extrovert and if you are doing remote work, it might be a little challenging because you are not meeting people face to face. What would help is that you take small breaks during the day and go out for a walk, you walk your dog or get in some fresh air. And other than meetings, maybe have one-on-one meetings with your colleagues or somebody, even random, like you would otherwise typically not know. But if you're interested in the kind of work they are doing, or if you're interested in the function that they are working, it'll be nice to know people and have those kind of short breaks. But I think what happens is that, and we have seen this even for people who go to office, on weekdays they have a different routine, and on weekends they will have a completely different routine, because again it is about having that control. So we get into this habit of sleeping until late on weekends because we feel we are in control of our time. We will decide when we are going to wake up. The sad thing is that your body doesn't know that it's a weekend. Our body only recognizes the sun and the moon, right? So, irrespective of being a weekday or a weekend, we should get into more or less like a same kind of a routine, same wake up time, same bedtime, because then your body expects a lot of things at a certain time. Our mind, it doesn't like jumping into the unknown. So the more predictable and routine your life is, the better it would be. I understand if it is too routine and too rigid, then it becomes sort of boring and you feel like you're operating in a loop, you are stuck somewhere. So what you can do is that maybe if you take out 1 hour to exercise or half an hour to exercise, you could change the kinds of exercise that you do. If your meal time is fixed, let the meal time be fixed, but maybe you can have different kind of cuisines to keep some interest in there. If you have like an evening time with family, some days you can watch TV, some days you can go to the park. But what happens is that if you have predictable slots in the day, it gives your mind a lot of relaxation, but it also gives you that opportunity of bringing in different changes to keep the spice alive.
Really, really interesting. The next question, I want to discuss the burnout. Now we have a pandemic of burnout worldwide, especially after COVID period. Now we have tough times from economic perspective, some political huge changes in different countries. So a lot of people feel themselves burnouted by a different reason. Could Ayurveda help in this situation? And if yes, how?
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, most people we meet, they are burnt out. There could be different levels, uh, but they are burnt out. And burnout literally starts from stress. If there is chronic stress and if it is not addressed, then it gets to burnout. So, on one side, we have people who are stressed and burnt out. But on the other side, we also have this reality that most of us have sedentary lifestyle. And many of us we feel that we are stuck somewhere. So there is this stillness as well on the other side of burnout. Now, a couple of things that we can do when you feel that you are feeling stressed because of, say, a tight deadline or because of competition at work. A couple of things that you can do is breath work and meditation. And I want to talk about both because meditation is becoming popular. It has already become popular, and it is interesting. I do meditation myself, but it took me a long time to even start doing meditation because I was always stuck in my head that you are supposed to do meditation a certain way, like you sit in a chair or you sit on the floor, close your eyes, and take deep breaths. And at that point of time, you should be completely thoughtless. And a couple of times when I tried doing that, my mind would just go racing and I'm like, what is the point of doing this? I am not getting the benefit out of it. And so then I focused my attention to breath work. And breath work is very simple. And I will come to how we can do the breath work. But once I started doing breath work for about 5-10 minutes, I realized that during that time, there were moments, very few moments, where I would feel completely weightless and completely blissful. And then I started asking if that is what meditation is supposed to do. Is there some, a convergence between meditation and breath work? And gradually, once I got little better at breath work, I started doing meditation, and it became quite easy for me. So breath work is something that people can do anyway. For example, you can do namaste and take deep breaths, or you can put one palm on your chest, one palm on your belly, and do breath work. And if even that doesn't sit well with you, you can just put your arms on your thighs and do deep breathing. you know uh, there are times that in office you are stressful, but you can't go to your meditation room or your nap room. A good thing, or you would not want to be seen your eyes closed and doing breath work. It might sound funny, right? At least as a beginner, what you can do is just look out the window and keep doing the breath work. Or you can simply look at your screen, make sure that there are no texts, because your eyes will start reading. So put a nice picture of your family or a nice landscape or something that brings joy to you. You can start with that. And for meditation, what you can do is just in the beginning, and that's how I started. In the beginning, I allowed myself to think, because the thing with our minds is that mind is not supposed to be thoughtless. Mind is something that probably will be thoughtless only when you are dead, because when you're sleeping, there are times that you dream and then your mind is at work. So start meditation just like that. just like an activity that you are doing with your eyes closed. And if your mind is racing, there are a lot of thoughts, let them come and go. There are so many apps in the market. I use one of them. It just helps you kind of regulate your thoughts. And if you are thinking something, it pulls you back to the current moment and asks you to focus on your breath. So you can do that to manage stress. For managers, my advice would be, and it might sound like a crazy advice, but before any meeting that you know that is a high stake meeting and you are expecting fireworks, it'll be good to start with a 2-minute breath work for everybody. And managers who start doing this, I think they should, with consistent breath work routine, you should be able to see the change in behavior of people. That people are not shouting as much. They are more cordial. They are more, outcome oriented. They are more productive in their meetings. So this is something that they can do for stress. For burnout, again, this is more at a personal level, what employees can do. As I told you about routine and predictability, people can do that for their workday as well. So, for example, if you keep the first 15 minutes of your workday and last 15 minutes of your workday consistent, it more or less will be able to calm you down. So, for example, in the first 15 minutes, you can just organize your desk, see what you have to do for the rest of the day. Go and say hi to your colleagues, fill your bottle with some hot water and keep sipping it through the day. And at the end, there are many times that people rush out of their meetings and then rush home, and then there is no disconnect as such that happens at workplace. So even for the last 15 minutes, it's important to kind of note down how your day was, what are the things that you're going to do tomorrow, or have some kind of routine. Maybe you can use breath work at this time. Just disconnect from your work, and whatever you have done in office, just leave it there at your desk before you leave. That will help. I already spoke about having a consistent lunchtime. And then, basis our own energy flow. There are people who are productive in the first half, but there are people who are productive in the second half. There are individual differences. So you find that spot where you think that you are most focused, you're most productive, and just block those 60 minutes, 90 minutes for your deep work. And so if you have these minor blocks in your day where more or less what would happen, it will calm you down and it will prevent you from burning out in the long run. And the other thing that we spoke about was, this sedentary lifestyle that people have at work, and sometimes that itself can lead to, being like feeling stuck at work. It could be being stuck in the role that you have, or being stuck with a particular organization. Well, that's a core issue that needs a different kind of addressal. In the short run, what people can do is to have movements during the day. Go out for a walk with your colleague, or do some desk exercises, do some stretches. Make sure that you get up and walk for about 5 minutes every hour. So that should help you with the feeling of not being stuck where you are.
Mhm. Ankana, my next questions for you is about, we discussed the morning, we discussed today. Maybe you have any ideas for people, for employees, for people who work also remotely, for the evening, for improving our productivity and for preparing for the next working day. Could you
Yeah.
share some ideas for the
Yeah, it is important to have a night ritual as well, other than the day ritual, because then again, as you said, it sets you up for the next day. Again, as I said, it is important to disconnect from work while you are leaving from work. There are few things that people can do. It's for the first thing is that you should have a consistent bedtime, which should be 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And this is something that Ayurveda recommends, but it is also something where modern science agrees with Ayurveda. In fact, there was a research done in Europe also, where they said the best bedtime starts at 10 to 11 p.m. It is because our sleep is made of two phases. One is non-REM sleep and the other is REM sleep. So your non-REM sleep starts by say 10 p.m. and it goes until 2 a.m. This is the time where your body is digesting all the food that you have had through the day. This is your restorative and your regenerative phase of the sleep. And this is the time when you get most of your deep sleep. And then as you move from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., the sleep tends to get little lighter. We get into our REM phase, and this is the time where the body rewires your memory. It processes all the emotions that you have felt through the day. And this is the time when people who dream actually see their dreams. So it is important to be asleep during this whole time, because the two phases have their own functions, and all those functions are important for our well-being. So we should design our bedtime around this period, whether it is a weekday or a weekend. Then there are some do's and don'ts that will help you sleep better. The first is exercise. Exercising in the morning is always going to be better, because, as I said, our body is more prepared to take any kind of impact that exercise might have. Also, exercise has a waking effect on your body. So, if you do it in the morning, you become more productive. But if you do it in the evening, then it will become that much more difficult to sleep. Now, I understand the, the reality of modern life, that there are times that people might not have time to exercise in the morning and they need to do it in the evening. My suggestion would be to finish that workout by 7 p.m. so that you still have those 3 hours before you go to your bed. So the melatonin secretion at around 8 or 9 p.m. should be able to make you sleep well. The second thing is about caffeine. Ayurveda does not recommend anyone to have caffeine, but if you do want to have it, it's better to have it in the first half of the day than in the second half, because then by the time you go to bed, caffeine has kind of gotten out of your system, and then you'll be able to sleep well. There are people who drink coffee at 4 or 5 in the evening and they are still able to sleep well. My husband is like that. But the thing is that sleep is not only about falling asleep. Sleep is also about the quality of sleep, whether your body is able to do those restorative functions, whether it is able to maintain your cognitive functions and wide your memory. So the quality of sleep also gets affected by caffeine. So limit it to your first half. The third thing, a couple of things that can help is, people who are not vegan and people who can tolerate milk. They can have nutmeg milk, or they can have golden milk before they go to bed. That will help them fall asleep. Otherwise, you can wash your feet with warm water. That also makes you sleep well. Do not have sugar at the night, because again, sugar also has a waking effect on your brain. So keep sugar for the first half. Screens, again, 1 hour before, at least 1 hour before your bedtime, because that blue light emission, it stops your melatonin functioning properly. There's this thing going on social media of about of 3 to 1. So 3 hours before your bedtime, you should stop eating. 2 hours before your bedtime, you should stop drinking water, and 1 hour before sleeping, you should stop looking at screen. So if you follow even this small thing of 3 to 1, that should be that should help you sleep well.
I'm gonna be very interested and absolutely sure with the useful advices. My last questions for you. It's very interesting dialogue, and I think you could share a lot of ideas about Ayurveda, implementing it in our life. But my last question for you: what free tips could you get to the people who want to implement Ayurveda in their lives, as a person or as a corporate well-being leader?
Okay. If I have to give my top 3 suggestions, first will be to align the work culture with our natural rhythm and not the other way around. We are diurnal animals. At the end of the day, we are supposed to work in the day and rest at night. I understand there are shift workers, people who have to work at night shift. For them, my recommendation would be to go to an Ayurvedic doctor, because there is a detailed protocol for night shift workers of how they have to take care of their health and their well-being if they are working in the night, which is completely unusual and not recommended for human beings. So try and get done with your work during the day and keep night for sleeping and rest. The second thing would be using prevention through sustainable habits. With the health costs going up, it is better to not fall sick in the first place. So try and make sustainable habits. Wake up early, make lunch your most important meal of the day, enjoy your lunch, try and sleep early. These are small things like walk after your meals, and that way you don't even have to take time separately for exercising. So these are some of the steps. And the third thing, it's my submission for everybody that live with awareness. What has happened that over time we have outsourced our health and well-being to a lot of entities and a lot of people, and we knock at their door when we fall sick. However, I think this is one area where taking control is actually going to help you. So live with awareness, because we are unique. Everybody is different, and how you respond to a particular medicine or a particular routine is something only you would know. And you would know what sits well with your body and what does not, more than any doctor or more than any other practitioner. So start living mindfully, start living with a lot of awareness, and be curious about your health. So I am an Ayurvedic health coach, but it doesn't mean that people need to be interested and curious only about Ayurveda. There's this whole spectrum that we spoke about, right? There are other traditional medicine system, there is integrative medicine system. But the decision, there should be awareness about it. You should be curious about it. You read about it, and then take the decision from a place of awareness, not from lack of knowledge, that only one medical system works and others don't. Try and keep experimenting. Start with small changes where stakes are low, where you don't feel that anything invasive is going to happen. And I hope that doing some of these help you feel better as it did for me. My life is completely transformed, uh, and I hope you are happy at work, you are happy at your home, and you are generally happy in life.
Ankana, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge, sharing your approach for well-being. And stay connected through LinkedIn. And I could recommend to all people from my audience to connect with you on LinkedIn and asking about Ayurveda. It's implementing in the daily lives, work life, on the personal, corporate level. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tatiana. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good time.
You too.
This is podcast Happy at Work, and stay connected.